everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sterling and I'm the artist here behind Cactus Lady Creation, and in this video I was thinking I could take you all along with me on the journey of making some different crochet bottoms out of scrap yarns. So these are particularly yarns that I have left over from different various projects, and I want to use up as many of these different various scrap yarns as possible. And so I'm doing a Upcycle Diaries series with you all, and I'm thinking in this video I want to try and create some pants and some shorts out of scrap yarns. I have this sort of scrap yarn skein that I made basically out of yarn that are not even a mini skein. These are yarns of various lengths, sort of cut-offs from projects, and little tiny bits of yarn that I basically tied together to make into a continuous strand of yarn. So here is the skein that I'm thinking I'll start off with creating some bottoms with, and I'll show you in the video as I go along how I create a skein like this if you're interested. And I am thinking I want to make some pants. I've been seeing these kind of scrap yarn pants all over my Pinterest, and I've been wanting to make some of these for a while. And I'm also thinking it could be cool to make some granny square shorts of some kind. I have a few granny squares lying around and I'm wondering what to do with them. So I think that making them into some shorts could be a fun project. Well, let me just take you along on the journey of starting them. So what I like to do with pants is actually create enough chains to fit around my waist. So I'm just going to chain. And if you're curious, I'm using a hook size that is 5 millimeters. And all of these yarns are different various weights. Having a uniform look isn't really the goal. It's more so to just use up as many scraps as possible. So, and I'm just gonna kind of use these yarn ends to hang like that. And I feel like my issue whenever I make pants is that sort of two things. Either it ends up being a little too big in the waist, because with crochet there's always a little bit of stretch, and so what happens is I end up chaining and it fits well along my waist, but then because you stretch to put it on, it kind of stretches out, and I just don't like how it ends up being a little too wide for my waist. And then another issue is actually the crotch area ends up being kind of too long. So I think that some of the things that I'm going to watch out for with this project are those two things, and kind of give you any tips that I can on how to avoid that. I want the pant to sit about here on my waist, and I almost want it to be, obviously not too tight, but I want it to just touch. So I'm just going to work 2 more chains. Okay, now let me see if that fits about right. So if I don't stretch it around my waist, but I just kind of let it fall, if I just kind of hold the 2 ends along my waist, you see how it doesn't really touch? But then if I stretch it just a little bit, it has about 4 chains of overlap on each side. So I think that that will give me plenty of room to put the piece on, but to not have to deal with a weird gap in between the waist and the pants. So now what I'm going to do, now I have my long chain, so I'm going to connect up with the first chain with a slip stitch. All right, so now I've got my circle of chains here, and now I think what I want to do is I want the pant to have a closed work look, so I don't want there to be too many gaps in it. So I think what I'm going to do is work in the round with some half double crochet, and I want this pant to have a closed work look, especially along the top. So I'm going to work in the round with half double crochet. So I'm going to chain 1, and that's not going to count as a stitch. Then I'm going to work a half double crochet into that first chain, And I'm going to continue working half double crochet in each chain around. And one of my favorite ways that I've discovered a little while ago with working in the round is actually working in spirals. What this does is make it so that there's not a visible seam or a visible join where you worked each end of the last row and the beginning of the next row. Sometimes with a lot of these sort of pieces, what you'll end up having when you join in the round is a weird sort of line in the back of the piece that just kind of ends up being a bit messy or looking not as professional. And the easiest way to fix that is by working in spirals. And I'll show you what I mean when I get to the end of this round. So now I'm at the end of this first round, and instead of finishing it off with a slip stitch into that first half double crochet, what I'm going to do is work a half double crochet into that first stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into that first stitch, which was that first half double crochet, yarn over, pull through, and now I have 3 loops on my hook, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And I'm going to also make sure there's not any slack in my yarn, because what this does is make sure that there's no gaps between that first and second round. And what this does is make sure that there's not any sort of weird sort of unevenness along the back side of the piece. And I prefer working in the spiral when I'm working in the round because it just looks superior. It doesn't have any weird sort of lines along the back side of the piece, and it doesn't look weirdly uneven. So I'm just going to continue working half double crochet in each stitch around, and I'm going to do this for the top half of the pant until I want to start working the legs, working 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. And in order to end out each round, I'm going to work a half double crochet stitch in the first stitch of the previous round in order to start the next round. And one of the reasons why I'm really trying to use up as much of my scrap yarn or leftover yarn as possible and not really buy any yarn, or if I do, it's for a really specific project or a pattern that I'm writing, is because I'm really, first of all, trying to purchase yarn more consciously. I used to, and I don't know if any of you all do this as well, but I used to, especially when I was first learning crochet, go to the yarn store and just pick out any kind of yarn that I had that I really was drawn to. And a lot of the times, the main sort of yarn stores that are local to me are Joann, and Michael's has somewhat of a selection, but mainly Joann. But with all of the Joann closures, as I've shared about a little bit on this channel, I have been really trying to reframe my sort of approach to purchasing yarn. I really wanted to make it more of a conscious sort of thing rather than a splurging kind of thing, and really be not only more conscious about the yarn that I'm buying, but also just purchases in general. Like, I'm really trying to be more conscious about any and all of the clothes that I buy. I'm trying to limit it down to what I'm actually wearing and actually using. And I used to sort of hold on to pieces for way too long. And as that happened and I accumulated more and more pieces, you know, it started to be like that quote that says, you know, when you have too many things, your things start to own you instead of you owning your things. And so since the beginning of the year, I've really been feeling that and sort of meditating on that, and just looking around my space and starting to think, you know, it's filled with so many things that I am ready to say goodbye to or ready to let go of, and only bring in things that I really love or that I really need. And so I guess this is sort of a shedding year for me, you could say. and just a shift in consciousness of being a bit more conscious, or seeing in what ways can I be more conscious with the things that I purchase and the things that I also bring into my home. Part of this sort of challenge that I've given myself has been to see, how many things do I have and how can I make more use out of them. And so that's been one thing. Another reason why is that after sort of not moving around, not really traveling around for years now, I am ready to get back into the flow of doing a bit more travel, maybe even doing a little bit more of a digital nomad style of life. And so I have also been working on purging things because of that as well. And I even recently got some suitcases and told myself that I'm going to put all of the things, or at least most of the things that I have and most of my belongings into these suitcases, and whatever doesn't fit, I will donate or recycle. And so it's a bit scary. It's a bit of a daunting challenge because I've never done anything like that. As I've said on this channel, I am a self-confessed maximalist. I definitely love holding on to things. I just love the style of maximalism. I love all the colors, all of the shapes, all of the sort of things in a space because it makes it feel cozy and eclectic. And I just love that eclectic sort of maximalist style. But right now in my life, I'm just really drawn to a bit more of a minimalist style. I wouldn't call myself a minimalist, but I'm definitely drawn a little bit more to challenging myself a bit. And oh gosh, this is spinning. No, what happened here? Girl, did I get... Somehow my piece got twisted around talking. Wait, let me see where I worked into the wrong part of the stitch. I have to completely redo my work because I twisted it at some point and it didn't really become apparent until later on. All right, so I'm starting over basically from the first round. But as I was saying, basically I am not only wanting to live a bit lighter on the earth and lighter on my wallet as well, but I'm also trying to challenge myself to purge and sort of get rid of things, shed things that no longer align, and live a bit lighter because it's just more freeing and it opens you up to move as you want to move. And I've just been really called into doing that a bit more this year. And so that is a main part of the reason why I'm doing this challenge. And I am really excited and interested to see where it will take me. So let me just focus on this so that I don't end up making the same mistake. I guess I'm not really the best at crocheting and talking and really thinking at the same time. So I'm just going to focus on this. So it's been a few hours and I did change so that I can try my work as I go along. And I just ran out of my sort of yarn ball that I created. So I gathered a whole bunch of different yarns in order to create a new sort of yarn ball here. And I'm just going to show you how I do this. What I do is I just collect all of the different various mini skeins that I have from leftover projects. And I basically just pick a yarn and then I will tie two ends together by just tying a knot with one color and tying another knot around the other yarn with the other color. So basically making two knots to secure them together. And then I go ahead and this is my automatic yarn winder, but you can just use any yarn ball winder, or you can do it by hand, and I just wind it until I want to move on to the next color. and then just trim it. Bring the next yarn in and tie the two ends together. And I just like to tie a knot with one color and then tie a knot with the other color, because this way it just really makes sure that they're both secured together. And then just go ahead and wind up. So I created a big yarn skein. This is about as big as my head. So I am going to finish up this row because I was nearly done with this row when I ran out. Where did my yarn hook go? No! Did I lose my yarn hook? It's over there. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this row really quickly. So I went ahead and finished that round, and I went ahead and put a half double crochet into the first half double crochet of the row. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain enough so that the pants can comfortably fit, and so that the crotch isn't too big because that tends to be an issue with shorts and pants a lot of the times, is that if you chain too many here, then the crotch is struggling. So I am going to, okay, now see, that might be too many. I just chained about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Let's start with 22. And then what I'm going to do is I have 113 chains in total in the round. And so 113 divided by 2 is 56 and a half. And so I'm going to count 56 stitches into the row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 56. Okay, so now I'm going to put a marker into that 56 chain just to make sure that I don't lose my place here, and also make sure that it just looks good, like the two markers line up nicely and look evenly spaced and placed. And I'm going to take those chains that I just worked, make sure they're not twisted or weird, and I'm going to make sure they're not twisted, because then it'll be like the beginning where I had to undo it a couple of times and make sure that it wasn't twisted. I don't know why I had trouble with that today. Okay, and then I'm going to work a slip stitch into that 56th stitch that I marked, which is halfway through that round, slip stitching that chain into that stitch across, and therefore making these kinds of the separation for the leg openings. So now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put a little clamp here to kind of hold it so I can try it on to make sure that it fits nicely. All right, so I'm trying it on and it fits pretty well. So yeah, I think it fits pretty well. What ends up happening is, I believe as you start to kind of work the legs, the weight of the yarn on the leg starts to kind of pull down the pant, and then it ends up making, if that crotch area is too big, it ends up stretching it out and sort of making it sort of longer and weighed down and not as nice and fitted, which is more the look I'm going for. I kind of like the tailored, more fitted look. And this is also a reason why I don't like actually buying knitted pants in general, typically, because I tend to have shorter torso, or a bit of an average length torso, but really long legs. And so what ends up happening with me is that the pant is so long in the crotch and it just ends up looking awkward. And so being able to actually make my own pants, and I do want to get into knitting a bit more with this, but even making crochet pants, it makes it so much easier to actually tailor and work the pant to be the actual size that fits me. So this is a really great thing, and something that I want to get more into is actually knitting my own pants as well. But yeah, it's just really great to be able to make clothes that actually fit you. So I went ahead and took out that slip stitch, and so I have my chains here. And what I'm going to do now is actually work a half double crochet into that stitch marker across, so that I've got that first half double crochet of the round. And now what I'm going to do is actually turn my work, and now I'm going to start working the leg. All right, so I went ahead and worked the leg, and now I'm back to this chain area. And so now I'm just going to work one half double crochet in each of these chains. And I'm just going to do it, make sure to do it on under one loop, or under one side of the chain, because I'm going to work the half double crochet for the other leg on the other side of the chain. And that is how I work the legs and the leg part of the pant. All right, so it's been a little over a day and I finished one leg, and now I'm working my way on the second one. And I just did a little bit of increasing to widen the leg a bit, because the leg's already quite wide, so I didn't want it to flare out too much. And I will show you how I did that. And I was meaning to actually finish this video and finish the pant last night, but I had a ferocious storm that came over in my area, and it completely knocked out the power on my entire street, because there was a lot of lightning, and it actually tore down a few of the power lines. There's actually just a big lightning bolt that struck it down. And so they were repairing all of that, and that was last night. And so they were repairing all of that this morning. So I went throughout the night and throughout the whole morning with no power. So I wasn't able to really record anything or really see anything. I need to get some lights, some crafting lights to wear around my neck so that I can actually see in the dark for whenever the next outage is, or even when I go traveling. And so if you have a favorite neck light, let me know in the comments below, and definitely link it below, because I'm looking to get one soon. But so now I'm just trying to, I went to a cafe this morning to try and get some power, because it was really hot. It was really getting hot over the night and in the morning. And so I just wanted some relief. And also I worked on a part of this leg there. Now I'm just finishing it up, and I'm really excited to get these pants completed because I just really love how it's turning out. They're so cozy and comfy and colorful and would be perfect to wear around the house, when working, when crocheting, but also maybe out to a festival or something. And so, yeah, so I'm really excited to finish these and to share the finished results. All right, so I am at the row where I'm going to start to increase so that the pant can start to flare out a little bit. And I'm just going to do a couple of rows of increase. And where this is falling is about 2 to 3 inches above my ankle or towards the bottom of my shin. And so what I'm going to do is in this next stitch, which is the first stitch of the increase row, I'm going to work 2 half double crochet. And then in the next 10 stitches, I'm just going to work 1 half double crochet. And the reason why it's 10 is because I have 66 stitches in each row. And so 66 divided by 6 equals 11. So in every 11th stitch, I'm going to work 2 half double crochet stitches so that there's just a subtle flare. Now you can work more half double crochet or whatever stitch you're using if you want your flare to fan out even more, but I like the look of just a bit of a subtle flare, so I'm going to work an increase in every 11th stitch. So I've worked 4 half double crochet, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and then in this 11th stitch I'm going to work 2 half double crochet, and then I'm just going to continue that all the way around, working 2 half double crochet in the 11th stitch around, and I'm going to do that for the next 2 rows, and then I'm just going to work 1 half double crochet in each stitch for each row until the end, and I'm going to work 2 rows of increases and then about 9 more rows, and then I will be done with the pant. All right, so the pants are basically complete. It's just that obviously the band ended up being too big, even though I really tried to make it fitted. It's stretched out still. So this is something that I'll have to keep working on and preventing in the future, but for now, I'm just going to create a waistband. It's not too much of a stretch, so I think it'll be okay. And I'm going to use my cord maker machine to do that. So I'm making this cord for the pant with this machine, and I tried using this yarn, but because of that kind of eyelash texture, it was getting caught in the hooks. So I decided to switch over to this yarn. It's going to be a bit thicker than I wanted it to be, but this will be a good way to use up a lot of this skein that I have, because I want to try and make quite a long tie so that I have enough to tie it into a little bow. So and once it was complete, this is how it came out. I had a lot of fun creating these scrap yarn pants. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and make sure to keep an eye out on the scrap shorts if you want to check that out. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell if you want to be notified about that. And thank you for watching. Make sure to take care of yourself, and I hope you'll join me in the next one.